couple of notes, and I'm like, oh my god, that's Britney Spears Toxic. And then I'm telling Alyssa, and then she starts listening more, and she's like, oh my god, it is, that's so cool. But yeah, that was extremely cool, just to kind of to hear that. And especially with this movie, like you said, very self-aware, and kudos to whoever thought of doing that in the film.
I think Emerald, the director, was actually, like, while writing the screenplay, she was just listening to nothing but pop hits, and she's a huge self-proclaimed Britney fan. So I'm pretty sure that was her idea, and I love that it's not like just, of course, not the traditional Toxic song, but they use like the strings where it's like an orchestra, you know, and it brings this kind of very, especially in the context of what's happening in the film, you know, some shit's coming, you know, like some deep, dark, crazy shit, but you have no idea how it's going to play out. And I love how self-aware it is that they don't try to do anything that's too unrealistic, you know? She goes up there, she plays in character, she makes sure everybody gets shit-faced. She's not going to, you know, or we don't know, but she's not going up there to, like, try to fucking murder all these guys that could overpower her. Or as Al Monroe, we saw Al Monroe as obviously was stronger than her, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, is that that's why I felt the ending, not that it didn't bother me, because of course that's our protagonist, that was like our character, we are seeing this film through her eyes, and for her to suddenly perish like that, yeah, it hurt. But in the same way, like A Star Is Born is better because of that tragedy that happens with Bradley Cooper's character. I feel like in the end, at least for me, from my perspective, from my love of film, I felt like it was the better way to go, and I could understand the reasoning behind letting that character go in that way. You know what I mean? I was just going to say, what are your thoughts on that? How did you perceive? I know you wanted you were talking to me about it a little bit off air. How did you perceive the ending? What were the thoughts running through your mind or your fiance's mind?
Throughout the whole entire movie, when she's going, you know, they show her doing basically trapping these guys, or not trapping them, but setting them up to let them know that she's aware and she's not drunk at all to what she's doing or to what they're trying to do to her, and kind of scaring them straight, if you will. The whole time when she's doing those and they're showing those scenes, in my head I'm thinking, what happens when she runs into a guy that like gets pissed off and is, you know, she can't be in control of the situation anymore? And I basically get my answer at the end, the conclusion. So when that scene's happening, I'm thinking, okay, you know, he's gonna let her go, and she's gonna fake being dead, and then she's gonna get out and do something. But he keeps he suffocates her with his knee on the pillow over her head, and I am like, the whole time my mouth is like open, like, oh my god, like my jaw drops. I'm like, oh my god, this is the ending. And then I look over at Alyssa, and she's doing the same thing, and she's looking at me like, what the fuck's going on? And then, you know, she's dead, and I, just like how you thought when you saw this, like, they totally abandoned the cliche revenge ending, with her living and, you know, getting her revenge while she's alive, and you know, so on. But this way is so much more, I think, planned out and like meticulous. Like you get to see how if she knew the chances of her not coming back were slim, or she might have planned it this way the entire time, so that she can in essence finally be with her friend again. And I don't know if that was her entire, you know, like I said, I don't know if that was her plan the whole entire time, or this was just kind of a contingency type of thing that she was going through. just in case something bad did happen.
Yeah, I think
I loved how that played out. You know, everyone that she talked to who was involved got something. Like the lawyer got the phone with the video on it. The Bo Burnham, his character got those the scheduled texts, which was pretty like terrifying for to know that she's dead, but those texts are still coming out, and you can just picture her, you know, in her character writing those as they come out, you know, minute by minute or whatever, and then the police just showing up at the end, and it, to me, was so hilarious. Al's best friend, the one who's like, oh, who basically tries to convince him that it wasn't his fault that he killed her, and, you know, we're going to get rid of the body. You know, she left, you know, after you guys did your thing up here, she left, and we never saw her again. And then he's crying the whole time, and he's, like, patting his back, you know, it's okay, buddy, it's okay. And then when the police show up, he's kind of, like, creeping backwards, and then he starts full-on sprinting through the woods.
Yeah.
Which, to me, was hilarious to see that happening. I was like, oh, my God, that... because I love that actor and his character that he plays in the New Girl.
Yeah.
But to see him in this type of role, well, it was pretty cool. But just the whole way this whole thing played out, like you said, I thought the ending. I love the ending. Like I said, it wasn't that cliche ending of the girl gets her revenge and she's still alive, which, you know, you would think in a revenge film is happening or would happen. She gets her revenge, but, you know, basically post-mortem.
Yeah. And to go back to your question about whether she thought she was going to die, I think that she kind of rolled around with various scenarios, because if you pay attention to what her plan was in the room, all of his friends are already passed out drunk, and that's why nobody's hearing him cry for help, right? And she gets out her surgical equipment, and she's like, you know, it's only right that, you know, Nina couldn't escape you, so now it's time for you to, like, not be able to escape her anymore. And she's gonna basically pull a Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. You know, I'm not sure if you remember that scene that I'm referencing in Girl with Dragon Tattoo with the the Fincher version, where she Rooney Mara tattoos her rapist very crudely with and it says, like, I'm a rapist pig all across his body, so that way when he tries to hurt someone else, they're gonna see that and they're gonna know, you know, what kind of person he is. So essentially she's going to do that and carve Nina over and over again all throughout his body, so that way it'll raise questions. And if he were to have say if she had gotten away with that scenario and he hadn't have gotten loose, he would have stayed quiet, because he wouldn't want, you know, like his dirty laundry, so to speak, to get out. You know what I mean? And I think that's what she was planning on doing, is like blackmailing all these people because they don't want that footage to get out, or, you know, at least that's what I gather from it. And then of course the plan goes south, but fortunately for Cassie, she had all those, you know, the scheduled text for Ryan, or Bo Burnham's character, as you said, and then of course for the lawyer, who is I think one of the only people who actually shows any kind of sympathy, and she actually forgives him and kind of is only wanting all these people to acknowledge what they did and say sorry, and everything probably would have been fine. But because people are so prideful and rude and fucked up, that, you know, that doesn't happen, unfortunately, except for the lawyer. And that's why she sends him the old phone with the evidence of the date rape, and the note with, like, clear kind of directions as to what to do with it, you know, and which leads to Al Monroe and, you know, everybody getting arrested at the end, and the wedding pretty much being foiled, which is pretty much why they burned the body and did everything is to cover it up so that Al Monroe would continue to live, in like a normal life, unaffected by all of this shit that he's done in his past, and they would have totally went on with that had they gotten away with it, and that's the point, you know what I mean, is she put a stop to it.
Yeah. Did you catch the part where the lawyer's like, "Are you here to punish me?" And then she's like, "Do you want me to?" Or so I think she asked him, "Do you want me to, or do you want to be punished?" And he's like, "Yes, please." And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, this guy is like, he's tormented by like the things that he's done or the things that he's let people get away with because of his occupation.
Yeah, you can totally tell that the lawyer, who I don't think he has a real name in the film, he's completely unhinged. He says he hasn't slept in like weeks or months, and you could tell that it's just really the guilt has really set in, and he wants to make it right. Yeah, and that's a crazy scene because when she leaves, she had already planned, I don't know if she was going to have him killed or maybe like severely beaten, but she has some kind of hitman waiting outside, and she gets in her car and he's like, so do I go in now? And she looks up at him and she goes, no. And he's like, well, do I still get paid? And she's like, yeah. So she again, and that's like a kind of foreshadowing her ending, is that she thinks of all the different ways of these people, whether they're going to go the right way or the wrong way. It's like a test of their, their moral compass, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, if she can tell that they're, if they feel remorse, for what they've done, then that's that, and, she's done her job, basically. And I love when she runs into, I was not expecting, what's his name, Adam Brody?
Yeah.
I was not expecting him to be that guy, in this movie in the beginning, because I'm so used to him, being such a nice person in playing in movies, but he ends up, for a second he played it off pretty good, like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and take you home. I thought he was going to be that good guy, the one good guy who tries to help her get home, but then he ends up taking her to his place and trying to get her drunk, which was hilarious when he's pouring the drinks and her cup is completely full and he pours like a little half, like an eighth of the cup with alcohol. That was I was like, wow, he's really doing it. Okay. And then when she runs into his coworker and she almost gets him, but Bo's character runs into her also. But then she kind of, he's like, oh, you're that crazy bitch, the one who so and so who told me about. Oh yeah, good try or whatever. And she's like, there's more of us out here in the city. And then he's like, oh, bullshit. She's like, yeah, I'm one of the good ones. I'm one of the nice ones. Like, there's one girl who walks around with scissors and basically insinuating that that she cuts off their their dick, and he's like, oh, bullshit. And she's like, oh no, I'm serious. And he gets all freaked out. He's like, why y'all gotta ruin everything?
And he runs away.
And he's like crying as he's running. I was laughing. I was like, oh yeah, they're ruining you trying to get lucky with a drunk, incapacitated woman. That they're ruining that for you because that's such a good thing to keep going.
That's the thing is what I love about these. It kind of showing you that these, how do you say, predators? Predators, more often than not, they don't think of themselves as predators. Yeah. And this movie shines a light on that. They're so quick to be like, oh, I'm just an innocent victim, or no, I'm a really nice guy. If we want to go back to was it Christopher Mintz-Plasse little scene where he's like doing coke And he brings her back to the house. You know, they're in his living room, and he's like, "You don't know what it's like to be a man."